Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for February the 12th, 2021. We have a WWE pay-per-view this weekend, NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. If you missed the No DQ review, check that out. We did predictions for the pay-per-view. And then the next Sunday, we have Elimination Chamber, and we had some developments on this show regarding Elimination Chamber. So let's get right into the recap. We had Roman Reigns come to the ring to start the show for a so-called blockbuster announcement. This is what WWE was hyping up on social media. A recap was shown of Edge's comments last week, how he said he would wait until after the Chamber pay-per-view to make his decision as to who he will face at WrestleMania. We had Adam Pearce in the ring with what appeared to be a contract. You had the piped-in "You suck" chants at Reigns. Reigns got to the point here, said that Pearce does not have any authority over him. Reigns said that Edge is scared because Edge is afraid that Reigns will beat him so bad that Edge will have to go on a Legends contract. Reigns said that Edge is just hoping Reigns will lose the title at Elimination Chamber, but Reigns has no intentions on losing the championship. Pearce then said that at Elimination Chamber, Reigns will defend the championship inside the structure, just like Drew McIntyre. But Reigns was having none of it. Paul Heyman took over and said that Reigns only has to defend the pay-per-view or defend the championship at the pay-per-view, not inside the chamber. And then Heyman said what they can do is have the chamber match, and then the winner of the chamber match will go on to face Roman Reigns on the spot. And you had Heyman saying, what is Pearce going to do? Fire Roman Reigns if Roman Reigns doesn't agree to Pearce's idea of Reigns defending the title inside the chamber? That ain't going to happen. And Heyman said that Reigns was gone from last year's WrestleMania, and it was the lowest attended WrestleMania of all time. Pearce, I guess, pretty much gave in to this threat that Reigns might take a walk or not be part of WrestleMania. So basically, Pearce agreed to this stipulation where Reigns would defend the championship against the winner of the chamber match right after the chamber match. What do you guys think about this in the chat room? Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that this was a better idea than Reigns just outright defending the championship? Should we just have done a chamber match to determine Reigns' opponent at Fastlane? Should a men's chamber match not even happen? Should we have done a women's chamber match? Let me know in the chat room what you guys think about this. Now, Pearce did say that there would be some qualifying matches, unlike the Monday Night Raw chamber match. However, there would be two people that would not have to qualify. Jey Uso and, of course, Kevin Owens. Now, Kevin Owens did lose to Reigns 3 times, but he got screwed in all those matches. So I guess he gets an opportunity at the Chamber pay-per-view. Seems like people like it. Mike Nixon said something different. Ace and his familiar vlogs said it's something different. Now, I guess it does make the actual chamber match more unpredictable, but I think we all know the end result is Roman Reigns will still be leaving the pay-per-view as champion, and he'll beat up the guy that had to compete in that grueling chamber match. So I personally have mixed feelings about it. Let's see. Brian Spencer sent in a $5 super chat, first one of the evening. Thank you, Brian. He says, this was dumb. Couldn't he just say he would strip Roman Reigns of the title if he didn't compete in the chamber? Yeah, but then Roman Reigns would just go home, and then WrestleMania would have its second lowest attendance of all time. Um, yeah, I thought that was a bit silly. Honestly, if it was my decision, I would not have even done a second chamber match, period. I would have just sticked to one chamber match, but hey, that's just me. I really don't think two chamber matches are necessary. And I also think it's hard to get invested in the SmackDown Chambers match when you know the winner's probably just going to lose to Reigns right after, unless we get some kind of huge swerve where somebody shocks Reigns. But that would just make Reigns look weak, losing to a guy that won this grueling chamber match and was very worn down. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one. We had a backstage segment with Sonya Deville and Pearce, and basically Sonya Deville had an idea for these qualifying matches that we would have tag matches to determine the qualifying spots, the remaining 4 qualifying spots. And the first match of these 2 qualifying matches was Rey Mysterio and Dominic up against King Corbin and Sami Zayn. So even though we're seeing Corbin in the ring with Dominic yet again, we did have it changed up a little bit with Sami Zayn being added to the mix. Zayn was very upset about having to qualify, of course, and he did admit that him and Corbin are suffering from the same injustice, and they seem to be united in the match. Zayn hit the Blue Thunder Bomb, which picked up the victory. No, I'm kidding. Of course not. It never wins. Dominic kicked out of the Blue Thunder Bomb. We had a double 619 to Corbin, but then Zayn actually got a win. Zayn hit the haluva kick, his actual finisher, and pinned Dominic. So him and King Corbin qualify for the chamber. In other words, 2 guys that will not be winning the Elimination Chamber match. I think we can definitely cross their names off of the list. Just a couple of bodies in there. Zayn will probably be the first one out. Corbin might last a little bit longer, but yeah, they're basically just bodies for this match. I would have rather seen like somebody who could legitimately challenge Reigns at a pay-per-view like Shinsuke Nakamura in the match. Whatever happened to that big push for him, by the way? We will talk about Nakamura here in just a moment. We had the Dirty Dogs backstage wanting to be in the chamber match without having to qualify, but Sonya Deville was having none of that and said if they beat Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, then they will get added to the chamber match. We had Reginald backstage approaching Sasha Banks, and he was apologizing for his comments last week, and he gave a drink to Sasha, which she began to drink, and I was wondering, is this like some kind of drink that's been tampered with? But there was no follow-up on it. Like, if I was Sasha, I would not be trusting Reginald with the drink. I mean, that could have been spiked or something, but she drank it, or at least she started to as they cut away, and there was no follow-up on this whatsoever. So didn't really understand the point of this segment. I guess just a way to get Reginald on television, I suppose. We had Big E come to the ring for a promo. He talked about his triple threat match victory last week. Vowed to be a fighting champion. He made references to Tom Brady and Gorilla Glue. Big E staying topical and up to date with the current events during his promos. And we had an interruption by Apollo. Apollo was assuming that Big E was issuing an open challenge, and Big E was like, that's kind of true. However, Big E said that Apollo is the only guy that's not eligible because he already had his opportunity. Apollo was very upset about this. The two of them exchanged words, and Big E said they're done. He told Apollo to just go to the back. Apollo was very unhappy. Shinsuke Nakamura arrived. Shin was the one to accept the open challenge, and Apollo stayed out there at ringside. and Big E countered the Kinshasa, got a near fall, and then was going to try to finish off Zayn with the big ending. But then Apollo ran into the ring, drop-kicked Big E, causing a disqualification. And I guess this is a clear sign that Apollo was going heel, causing a disqualification. Definitely seemed like a heel tactic to me. Apollo moving in that heel direction. Like I said, I'm all for it. I think it's long overdue for Apollo to go heel. We had Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. He says, who's a better manager, Reginald or Omos? I would say Reginald just because he's more entertaining at this point. Omos does nothing but stand there and look intimidating. Reginald actually can do some really impressive athletic stuff. And I guess I screwed up. I said Sami Zayn instead of Nakamura, but, they were working together. So I got it, guys. I got it. I sometimes say the wrong name. It happens. We had, and you guys know who I was talking about anyways. We had the locker room empty out for the big return of Seth Rollins, who was actually at the Royal Rumble, but this was his official return on SmackDown, first SmackDown appearance since before Survivor Series. Rollins had his old music back, the old Burn It Down music. And I guess this was a tease. We'll see if he's back to his new music next week, but he came out to his old music and teased like he was going back to being a face. He said that it feels good to be back. A lot has changed since he sacrificed himself at Survivor Series. The biggest thing that changed is him. He's now a parent for the first time, and he sees all the talent around the ring and wonders, where does he fit in? And he said that he knows where he fits because he is the great leader that SmackDown needs to push it to the future. Everybody walked away, and there was only one person that was there, Cesaro. Rollins was very happy about this. He was happy that Cesaro was going to embrace the vision, but then Cesaro took his leave. And as Cesaro was walking to the back, Rollins jumped him from behind, beat the crap out of him until Cesaro's newfound friend, Bryan, made the save. I guess on the plus side, Cesaro and Rollins will be an interesting feud, and maybe Rollins versus Bryan. But, man, I really wanted to see Rollins just go back to being a face and maybe feuding with Roman Reigns at some point. Oh, well, I guess maybe that could happen down the line. Maybe the time's just not right for the face turn. Gotta let this thing stretch out a little bit longer. But yeah, I'm kind of over the whole Messiah thing, and I guess we'll see what happens again if he goes back to the Messiah music next week, and if this was all just a tease to make us think he was turning face when he really wasn't. We had Bayley versus Liv Morgan. Last week, Bayley had faced Ruby Riott. We had Natalya and Tamina watching the match from the back. Ruby Riott was out there. Liv was doing pretty well for herself, got some momentum, but then Billie Kay arrived to try and apologize to Ruby Riott, and in the process, all of her pictures got knocked out of her hands. The referee got distracted by this, and Bayley took advantage of the referee being distracted and poked Liv Morgan in the eyes and then hit her finisher, the Rose Plant, to pick up the victory. And this was fine. I like the change with the distraction. Instead of it being the stupid baby face or even a stupid heel, it was just a matter of the referee being distracted and the heel taking advantage when the ref was not looking, using an illegal move. So I like this little variation of the distraction finish, even though I think in general, Raw's guilty of it, SmackDown, AEW, even NXT, all these shows, they're doing way too many distraction finishes, in my opinion. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, Bryan versus Rollins or Cesaro versus Rollins at WrestleMania. I could definitely see one of those matches taking place at WrestleMania. Maybe even a tag match. Get somebody on Rollins' side. Hell, maybe Murphy at this point, since he's doing nothing. He can go back to being aligned with Rollins. See, I keep messing up names. I'm almost saying Roman Reigns because I really want to see Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. That's what I want to see. But yeah, don't think it's happening anytime soon. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's Edge versus Reigns at WrestleMania, and then maybe after Mania we could see Rollins finally make a full-fledged face turn. We had footage shown of the Street Profits at the Daytona 500, and then they made their entrance for a match with Otis and Chad Gable. Street Profits, I still don't understand why they went back to the red cups. They came to SmackDown, they got the blue cups, and I'm like, makes sense, right? They're on SmackDown, the blue brand. You have the blue solo cups. And then they all of a sudden just went back to the red cups. I don't understand that. That must be some kind of weird preference that Kevin Dunn has. He just likes the red solo cups and did not like the blue ones. I mean, that has to be it, right? Like, doesn't make any sense to me why they would bring in the blue solo cups and then get rid of them again. Anyways, like, of all the things to complain about, I'm complaining about the solo cups. So we had this match. We had Otis getting some momentum. He tagged in Chad Gable. Gable instructed Otis to run the ropes and hit a big clothesline. However, when Otis ran to the ropes, Otis was pulled out of the ring by Montez Ford. And then you had Dawkins hit the anointment. Ford did the big frog splash, and the Street Profits picked up the victory. We then had Sasha Banks make her entrance as the Street Profits were celebrating, and they all danced together. We then had Sasha Banks cut an in-ring promo. Again, said that Bianca Belair should choose her for WrestleMania. Bianca showed up, and before she could really say anything, we had the hole that runs the show, Nia Jax, arrive, along with Shayna Baszler, the WWE Tag Team Champions. They talked about how they are the most dominant force in WWE, and keep in mind, since they are the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, they can appear on both shows. And Sasha anticipated that they would show up, and thus she had footage shown of Naomi beating Shayna Baszler on Raw, but that wasn't actually the footage she was talking about that she wanted to show. The actual footage, and we all knew this was coming, the footage of Nia Jax's hole being injured on Monday Night Raw. Yes. Then Nia got very upset. A fight broke out, and Nia's hole got re-injured. Yep. Nia hurt her hole again. And then Shayna got double teamed by Sasha and Bianca Belair. Maybe we'll see a tag team match at some point. Who knows? But yeah, I guess it's going to be a running gag now. Every week, Nia Jax will injure her hole. Maybe it'll happen every week for the next 9 weeks, and somebody's always injuring the hole, and WWE will completely run this joke into the ground. Would not shock me. We had our main event of the evening, which was Cesaro and Daniel Bryan against Rudolph. I refuse to call them the Dirty Dogs. I think that's such a lame-ass name. Rudolph is not better, but I'm going to call him Rudolph, just for the hell of it. There was some miscommunication between Bryan and Cesaro. Bryan accidentally hit Cesaro with a dive early on in the match. But eventually, Bryan and Cesaro were able to make a comeback, and we had King Corbin and Sami Zayn coming down to ringside to watch. We had Bryan hit the running knee to Rude, and then Ziggler was put in the Cesaro swing. Cesaro got the sharpshooter on Ziggler, and Ziggler tapped out. So tag team champions losing a non-title match pretty shortly after winning the titles, for that matter. Wow. I guess Cesaro and Bryan get a title match at some point, although would not shock me if there's no follow-up on this whatsoever. So yeah, champions losing a non-title match. What else is new? And after the match was over, we had Jey Uso appear. Where is Jimmy, by the way? Is it taking him that long to recover from injury, or is WWE just waiting for a good opportunity? Like, where is Jey? Or Jimmy, I should say. Where is Jimmy Uso? Jey used the steel chair on Cesaro, and then Sami Zayn and Corbin, of course, attacked Bryan. Then they attacked Jey Uso because, there's no honor amongst thieves. Zayn then, of course, turned against Corbin. He got hit with a running knee. Then we had Owens arrive. Owens hit the stunners to the bad guys and then talked to the camera, talking to Roman Reigns, saying that he's coming for Roman and he's not done with him. And to answer Psycho Jet Black, I don't know why we're not getting this women's Elimination Chamber match. Beats me, but I personally would prefer just one Elimination Chamber. And I think it's simple. Royal Rumble winner picks their challenger, and then the chamber match determines the other brand's world title match. To me, it's simple. You don't need to do all this other stuff. But hey, what do I know? Anyways, show was fine. Wasn't one of my favorite SmackDowns. Wasn't terrible either. It was a decent show. I'm giving it a B-. Not bad. Not a bad SmackDown. But, not one of those top tier SmackDowns from a couple months ago. That's for sure. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, KO should turn heel. He's getting boring as a face. Well, how many times is he going to keep failing against Roman Reigns? Where do you go with him if he's just going to keep losing? So, yeah, it's kind of weird. I think they should have just stuck with 2 matches. After the cage match, that should have been it. And David Estevez with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, David. Says, the SmackDown chamber is actually packed compared to Raw's. King Corbin. You want to say it's packed with King Corbin and Sami Zayn? I love Sami Zayn, but let's be real here. He's not winning that match. I mean, it's probably going to be Owens, but could be Bryan. Could be Cesaro. And then they lose to Reigns right away. Let's see what you guys thought about the show. Ace and his familiar vlogs and Nathan give it a B. Mike B and MVP Kev with a B-. And also CC Drink with a B-. Don Bowen gives it a C. And Steve-O from Too Sweet Cosplay says he did not watch, just listens to the review. Well, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Dr. NXT Scorpio and Ben give it a C+. So I'm not quite that impressed with it. Any other letter grades? Yeah, I mean, it seems mixed. Some B-, some C+. That's SmackDown, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. I do appreciate it. And again, to David, if you're talking about the prediction video for TakeOver, we did our predictions during the latest No DQ review. A Dead Troll says, why am I always complaining? Well, I'm reviewing a show, and a B-, that's still above average. That's still like, hey, this show was good in some parts. It was fine. I would not say that's a negative review of SmackDown, but then again, you call yourself Dead Troll, so kind of a waste of time to respond to your comment. But anyways, thank you guys again, as I said, and this weekend I'll be doing coverage on Sunday of the TakeOver pay-per-view. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and I'll be back afterwards for my thoughts. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I will see you all next time.